Welcome back into another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. James and Corey here, as always. And today we are going to do a little bit of an offensive tackle refresh. We haven't talked about the class as a whole since the summer. So, we are entering week 11 here. We've got a pretty good picture of what this class is looking like. We have resume games on for all these guys we're going to talk about, and we can get a good feel for them. So we've got 10 names here we're going to talk about, some more briefly than others, obviously, because that's a lot of names to get through. But James, are you ready to roll here, man?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's start with the Utah guys. Again, Spencer Fano came in with a lot of OT1 hype. He was my OT1, so I feel like that's a good place to start this conversation. I'll let you bat lead off here on Fano.
Yeah, so I caught up on the last couple weeks of tape on Fono, so I'm pretty much all caught up on him now. And I think in pass pro, like there haven't been any like brutal losses or anything. Like I think the Texas Tech game was a little bit rough. He had a couple bad reps against BYU. To me, I've just been disappointed with the run blocking tape, which I thought was, I said over the summer it was like Penei Sewell, the Iowa center, who I'm Tyler Linderbaum, and Spencer Fano last year are the three best college run blocking tapes that I've seen, and it's just pretty standard this year. Not a high impact, not an overly high impact player in that phase, and so if you're not gonna be like this dominant run blocker, I think he's got really quick feet in pass pro, but he gets like shocked backwards when linebackers bull rush him, or like safeties if they build up speed,
Yeah.
Like last week he got flattened by I think a linebacker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just see like whenever he never really faces like a real true centered bull rush, but the most that you really get to see on Fano's tape is like at the end of the rep, somebody comes in with like a stab and see what happens when they make contact with him, and he's jolted backwards every time. Like I just think he's going to get annihilated by NFL power rushers.
So we had that mailbag a couple weeks ago that was like, who were the guard center converts of this class? And I had like kind of at the end of like, is Spencer Fano a center convert in this class? Like,
yeah,
I'm starting to lean towards that maybe Spencer Fano is a center convert. He's going to get drafted as a tackle, obviously, because he's, I mean, again, teams are starved for tackle, but like, there's a real part of me that's like, is this guy a center convert?
Could definitely see that. Yeah, he's got that body type. And
do you think that there is room for him to add on to his frame, to develop his frame anymore?
No, like when I look at his frame, it's like, what would more weight look like? Not a football player.
Yeah. Yeah. I tend to agree. So like, even if we're talking about guard there, like if he's trying to jump set 3 techs, he's going to get, he's going to get blasted back into pockets.
The minute somebody says like, we're going to move somebody to center, and I'm not like disagreeing with you, but like whenever I think of that, I just imagine like a Dexter Lawrence bull rush, and like just try to imagine them eating that.
Yeah. I want to look something up here real fast, because I think we're reaching this territory a little bit with a player that I really liked in last year's class, who ended up going in the 5th round, and I'm starting to question what the big difference between Spencer Fano and Marcus Bowe are as players.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Spencer Fano has an infinitely stronger outside hand. I don't know, man. I was just so low on Marcus Bowe, so I would say there's still a lot to his game. Like I thought, Bowe has the highlights in the run game, but I didn't think he was a very like consistent down to down run blocker. And then yeah, I mean they're kind of like on equal footing in terms of their anchor or lack thereof.
The outside hand is a note that I've had from the summer. Like from summer scouting, I have down that his inside hand when he's redirecting back inside as well. He can guide really, really well with that inside hand too. So
that's one of the reasons I don't worry about the arm length as much with Fano, but I worry about the weight and the frame.
Yeah, big time. Man, the athletic ceiling is going to get him drafted high because he's going to go test really, really well. Like as an elite athlete at the combine, like it's going to happen.
You see how quickly he pulls across the line of scrimmage?
It's
Like,
so fluid,
teleports,
man.
dude.
It's so smooth. So smooth. So 6'6", 309 is what he's listed at. Probably 6'5", 300. Would you put him at like 6'5", 300?
Fono's listed at 305, you said?
309.
309? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I had him at 302. That's probably an older listing, but yeah, I'd put him like around 300 or so.
Yeah. Jeez. But top acceleration, 94th percentile. Top speed, 86th percentile. So like the athletic numbers are really good here. We'll see how it plays up. I do think he's probably going to get a rematch against David Bailey and Romello Height there in the Big 12 championship game. You can never tell with the Big 12. Big 12 is the cesspool that just, again, we talk about every week. They just beat each other up. So, but I think we're heading towards the direction of a Utah-Texas Tech rematch in the championship game here. So that would be a good opportunity for him to really right some wrongs here.
If he like enters the draft and we're looking at his kind of profile and it's like decent tape across the board, except the 2 times you faced Texas Tech, he got like worked. Like,
I feel pretty bad about that.
If that ends up happening, I don't know. I think that's a huge game for him.
Yeah, because there's no other
writing on it.
Big 12 pass rushers to really give much care to outside of David Bailey and Romello Height. Yeah. You have to have resume games. You have to. So I'm right there with you. Let's move to the other Utah tackle here, Caleb Lomu, who I was honestly like pretty taken aback by his Cincinnati game. I came into the season lower on Lomu. I felt like Lomu was all over the map for analysts coming into the season. There were some that had him as a top 5 player, some that didn't really see it. I was probably somewhere in the middle there. I think I had a 3rd round grade on him coming into the season, mainly because I saw some core strength issues and I saw a ton of like spacing issues on his tape over from 2024. But I think Lomu is really starting to play his best football. And again, if we want to talk about top-end athletes, Lomu is also one of those top-end athletes at offensive tackle as well in this class. So I'm getting way more bullish on Lomu, his athletic ceiling, his age, and that his best football is still ahead of him.
What do you think Lomu's arm length is if you had to estimate it?
34 flat. Probably right around there.
That's probably right.
Yeah, it's not like overwhelmingly long, but probably right around 34 flat.
Yeah, I came into the year with Lomu as my tackle 1, and he is not currently, but haven't really lowered my grade on him a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, the spacing issues seem to have gone by the wayside, which is a huge relief for me.
As far as like oversetting?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he would overset a ton last season.
See, and that's that kind of, in a weird way, made me like him more because in all of those oversets, you got to see him redirect with inside counters, which I think he does at a really high level. So it's like I was kind of impressed with that, even though he was creating difficult situations for himself.
He was on an island, like 6 yards away from the left guard. But, and I also thought like he was a little stiff in his knees on last year's tape. I'm seeing a little more flexibility as well. But really, again, really explosive athlete, and then the hands are sharp. So I'm growing with Lomu quite a bit here, heading into week 11 here. So again, he had an awful game against Texas Tech as well. So I will also feel pretty bad about him if they get that rematch against Texas Tech, and Romello Height puts him back in a blender like he did the first time that they played. I really hope Utah gets another resume game because again, I'm saying like I'm really bullish on the Cincinnati tape, but I couldn't name you a Cincinnati pass rusher.
Right.
On this podcast.
Yeah. So no, I'm waiting for like a decent matchup at some point to rewrite their scouting reports because it's like some of these Big 12 pass rushers. It's like
we live in a world where we might not get it.
Yeah.
Because if they don't go to the Big, or they don't win the Big, or don't go to the Big 12 championship game, we're not going to get it, and then they're not going to play in a bowl game, assuming they declare. So like there's a word where we just don't get it, and we didn't get it at all last year with him either. And that was like kind of Dalton's hesitancy when we were doing summer scouting is like these Utah guys didn't play anybody last year.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Another player, and we're going to be brief on Kaden Proctor here because we've spent a lot of time on Kaden Proctor on this podcast. To me, the tape is still way too up and down and way more down than up for me to feel really comfortable with Kadyn Proctor right now. Like the Tennessee game was his best game of the season. I was like, okay, this is a tackle that looks like you take this guy first round. And then his game against South Carolina was maybe his worst. And the Florida State week one. I tend to throw week one games out, but in terms of evaluating it. But it was definitely his worst in SEC play. Definitely his worst in SEC play.
Yeah, I mean, I've got him as a guard on my board. And that's kind of how I'm evaluating him at this point. I think that he is, I mean, I still think he's going to get good grades and he's going to declare because, dude, he's going to jump like something crazy. He's explosive as hell. And like, the problem is that he only gets to choose one direction per play.
Yep.
You know?
His redirectability is non-existent.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, you need that at all three O-line positions. So,
yep. Rewatched Francis Moa, CC Moa, I guess is how we're going by these days. And I am going to come in with the same opinion that I had of him over the summer as well. He's really good, but he's another player that I'm going to evaluate as a guard. And I think that he could be a day one kick-ass guard. Like, that's where I sit with Moa. But again, another player who's really explosive, but another player that the set depth is pretty shallow. I don't know if he has that the strides to really get a ton of depth, and that softens his outside shoulder. Redirectability is also a little bit underwhelming, but the hands are clean. The punch is clean. The grip strength is elite, like top tier grip strength. His ability to blaze trails in the run game, I think, is awesome. So again, the things that I'm loving about his game, the base is great as well, and he's just a naturally like dense and squatty player, like naturally dense lower half and squatty lower half. So like he's playing with a low center of gravity and he's constantly winning the leverage game because of that. And that's a positive. But again, all of the things that I'm listing as positives are like, that's what makes a great guard. It's kind of how I feel about Moa.
Yeah. So I redid Moa, watched every snap of him this year and ended up with like a very different evaluation kind of, but similar grade. I thought last year he really struggled with inside moves, and despite having that squatty build, I thought his anchor was really soft. And this year, anchor's rock solid. Now the inside moves, he's doing a better job protecting himself and not exposing the B gap with oversets, but that it really cleaned that up as well. I think you texted me about it, like the outside hand being soft, and you see that in the Florida game, especially with Moa. I think that, guys are just able to work the corner eventually on him. And so I think probably a guard at the next level. But, man, the other thing that I have to mention is I thought he was just such a low-impact run blocker last year outside of the Duke game. I remember, like, that was dominant and then just, like, did nothing. And, I mean, when you would watch him, not even like a one-on-one drive block, just kind of galloping into a double team or something. Whenever he would make contact with somebody last year, it's like a bird hitting the kitchen window. It just like went nowhere. And this year he's so consistent, creating displacement, does a great job of really taking command of the interaction early with, tight inside hands and steering the defender, out of his gap. So really impressed with some of the steps that Moa has taken this year. When we get into the ultimate conversation, though, I come to a pretty similar conclusion.
Yeah. But again, we're talking about a really high impact guard. That's where I come in. Like day one starter, impact starter, with I think all pro upside inside. Like I think that's what we're talking about there. All right. Another offensive tackle that came into the season in first round mocks from people, and he has not been in one of our in the first round of one of our mocks that we've done in quite some time. Oregon's Isaiah World, Nevada transfer. I was texting you about him off air a little bit. And there's a part of me, because I see the explosiveness and I see the at that size, especially he's like 6'5.25" verified. He moves really well in space and he climbs really well. His hands are a mess though, dude. His hands are a mess. And there's part of me that's like, if he cleans up this aspect of his game, how good of a player is this? And I think it's a pretty good one, but that's a pretty steep bet to make that you can overhaul one part of a guy, like a very important part of a guy's game.
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing with World that has been disappointing is how bad his anchor has been this year. Which I had like over the summer, I gave him a 42 for anchor, which is slightly below average by like NFL draft prospect standards, but I think it's been much worse than that this year. So yeah, he's a guy that I've kind of tuned out, honestly, this year. And I told you before we recorded, I watched everyone that we're going to talk about like today, except for World. But I watch every Oregon offense game, so keeping up with him.
He's going to go day 2. I don't think he's in the first round conversation anymore. But again, you never know with the need at the position, and I think he's going to go test well. So somebody still could take him round 1. We've seen crazier offensive tackles, and again, I think this is a good class to compare to the 2019 class, I think, where it was another bad tackle class and teams needed offensive tackles, and Andre Dillard and Titus Howard went round 1. So we could be talking a similar situation this year as well, in terms of like some of the names we could see go round 1. Let's move on to a different. We've got 3 names here in a we're going to call it tier 2 based off of name value, not so much play value, but name value. And the headliner we have of this, well, not really headliner, but the first name we'll talk about here is going to be Clemson's Blake Miller. I'll let you go first here.
I love this dude. Like I did not like his tape over summer scouting, which is why I just now watched. I think I had watched one game of him specifically this year, but caught up on his tape, and man, like you start out with the natural tools. 6'6", 315, 35-inch arms, so checks all those boxes. He's one of the most athletic offensive linemen in college football, especially when you adjust for the fact that he isn't one of these like converted tight ends or 290-pound zone blockers. He's 315 and he executes like the craziest high difficulty pulls, and he can like throttle down from full speed on the move, swivel his hips, and like seal off. I mean, he does insane.
Did you watched the Duke game, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
So you saw the screenplay where he got out on the screen and scooped out on a screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw that. Okay,
yeah. That's what I'm referencing. Yeah, and there was another. There were a couple other ones that were like very similar. I mean, just the radar and the redirectability at the second level is absurd. Other stuff that I would say in the run game, they don't run a ton of like traditional outside zone, but I see when he's got to cross the face and get to the front side that he has range. I mean, he's a freak athlete. So really good there. He is, I mean, I think probably vast majority of his pancakes come on double team, just like Gallup, help out his guard. But the fact that he's so explosive into contact and he really fires his hands, like you can see the way that he loads up his hands before he fits up a block. That just creates so much initial knockback and really softens his opponent's anchor, kind of sets him up for success for the rest of the rep. So I like everything in the run game except for the fact this dude falls down constantly.
Oh, he does.
Like,
he's out over his waist a lot.
mean, I thought Basantis was the most falls in this O-line class, but no, it's Blake Miller.
I feel like it's every guy that we're like, this guy's really awesome in pass pro.
Yeah,
they're terrible. Like I think Vega Ioana is the same way. Like he's on his face a lot too. Like he's out over his skis a lot too. But yeah,
and with Tieran, it's because he kind of has a top heavy build, but I do think part of it's self-inflicted, and it's kind of like a gamble or a trade-off that he's making, where he's really like big game hunting for the kill shot. And so it's like, I don't know, if he whiffs on one block a game at the expense of 2 other pancakes. Well, actually, he whiffs on more than 1 block a game. But yeah, that's something that he's definitely got to clean up. Overall, though, I think a firm net positive in the run game. Pass pro, I was really impressed as well, and this is where I honestly was pretty underwhelmed with him in both phases over the summer. Really firm punch again, loading the hands and really firing them into the frame. I think skilled hands. I see him work multiple techniques, inside hand, a little bit of flash bait. Anchor was really good. That's something that I would naturally worry about with taller tackles. But you see the knee flexion where he can sink underneath speed to power, and then very alert picking up stunts. The biggest issue that I saw in pass pro actually was all concentrated in one game against Syracuse. Lost to 2 inside moves where he got his post hand swatted down. So just got to have that activated and ready to punch when the rusher initiates his move. But yeah, I'll just say it. He's my OT1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
But really that's considering Mono as a guard though. So yeah.
So we see a part of a phase of his game pretty differently.
Okay.
The athleticism, I'm right there with you. The way he moves is exceptional. The redirectability, exceptional. Again, getting out to the boundary and scooping out an apex defender the way he did on that screenplay was what the heck just happened there? I think his hands are pretty soft, in terms of a punch, and in terms of the ability to again, the down blocks is one thing because he does explode out on down blocks, but I think his main objective as a run blocker is can I just seal off a run lane here? I didn't see a lot of generative power out of displacement. And again, the punch I thought was a net neutral, not really any impact when he landed a punch. But I will say, and I thought he threw his hands early, and the placement was a little bit wonky too. There were a lot of times.
Definitely, I agree on the placement.
Yeah. The placement there's a lot of times that the hands would land on the back number, which is not where you want your hands to be. But yeah, so there were some things that I still have hangups with Blake Miller about. But again, the athleticism, the base that he's playing with his pass pro is much better. You mentioned the run game stuff. He gets that a little bit out over his waist a little bit there, but yeah. But coming in much higher on Blake Miller than I did over the summer. And even in last year's tape, I wasn't anywhere near this. How I feel about Blake Miller now. I don't know if I'm there with day one just because I think the play strength thing is such a big issue because again, football's a contact sport, and that's really where I saw lacking a little bit. But what I will say in terms of positive as well, he uses the bear hug technique really well as a pass protector. And I noticed it a lot in the Duke game. I think he kind of knows a little bit that he can get worked through the chest a little bit. And so I think he tries to take away levers a lot from pass rushers. And so he'll engage and then he'll immediately bear hug technique to try to take away that length, try to take away that space between him and the guy across from him. And so I think that's really that's a football acumen move on his part to know that because I did see some a little bit through the chest as well, that takes him a few steps to get anchored in. But if he's doing his best to take away levers, I think that's a really great neutralizer as well. So
there were a couple.
Those were the key differences.
There were a couple really nice reps of him countering a forklift on a long arm with the offhand. So rushers using one arm with the long arm, and then the forklift they're grabbing the offhand wrist of the blocker and basically removing that second point of contact. And some really crafty hand fighting where he was able to multitask and anchor against the long arm, pry the forklift off of him. So really impressed with the way that he's able to kind of mitigate some of his natural leverage issues.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the offensive tackle factory of Northwestern here and talk about Caleb Tieran in a little bit. So this is another player that I know you're decently high on. I saw some fun stuff with his hands, the flash bait technique is there with Tieran. I texted you about that off of air, but man, overall, I think this guy's really stiff and he's really tall, and he gets worked through the chest a lot because of that. Like his pad level is just naturally high, and he's got some like knee bend issues. And I think there's a lot of reps where he's ending with a flat back. Like his back is 90-degree parallel with the ground, and that's not ideal. Obviously, but I think the foot speed's just average too. Like I know we've talked about like the athlete that he is, and you push back against me a little bit on that. But I went back and I rewatched and I tried to like, I tried to drink the seltzer water and cleanse my palate a little bit there, and then try to watch with clean eyes. But I still thought like the foot speed is just average. Redirectability is probably average to maybe even slightly below, in my opinion. And he's one of those guys too. It's like, yeah, like I want to kick him inside to guard, but what do I do with a 6'7" guard who plays through the roof pad level wise? Like you can't give up your chest like that playing guard. So he's a player that's tough for me to try to figure out what I want to do with.
Yeah. You may be expected like to get pushback, but honestly, I rewatched his tape today and decided that I was kind of like overrating him. So, yeah, I'm a little bit back down to earth on Caleb Tiernan. Although, like in terms of being a straight line athlete, like I think on pulls, I mean, against Oregon, like he had some of the most dominant pulls in this class. That game. Did you watch UCLA by chance?
No, I watched the Penn State game.
Okay. Yeah, UCLA was like a nightmare run blocking performance. And I think it was like a 34 PFF grade. There were like 7. It was like so bad where I'm like, were you injured this game? Because he was getting dogged. But yeah, I think he's kind of like I mean, we've talked about this draft range with tackles. It's like just add a round based on where you think they're going to go.
Yeah.
So
third round if that's the case, I would say third, fourth round for him is where I would have it if we're adding the round. But I would have
you like him
5
fifth
on him.
Okay. So I have a 3. I have like
Early
a
to
3 or
mid.
4 on him. So yeah, I'm a little bit higher. But I mean, I generally like agree though. He's just so tall and upright.
I that's how I feel about Austin Barber, who's not on our list to talk about, but I feel the same way about Austin Barber. Like when your chest is constantly that exposed, man, how do you play tackle at the NFL level?
Right.
Like how do you do it? Yeah, so I think that's the book on Tiernan. Unless you have anything else to add there on Tiernan.
I didn't. No.
Okay, I'm excited to talk about this next guy. So let's get to Stanford left tackle Nikki Prongos. Dude, I texted you. It was like I thought he had some set depth issues, and then I went back and I watched the Miami game, and I was like, I don't know if this guy has any set depth issues.
Okay, so you texted me that while I was watching the Miami game, and I was like, set depth.
Yeah, no, he's vertical kicking constantly in that game.
Yeah,
I do still think he's straining a little bit to match some speed from wide alignment, a little bit, to the point where like I just think his outside hand isn't very good either. So maybe that's part of it as well. That makes me think that his outside shoulder is soft. But in terms of body typing, these guys,
oh yeah,
this guy looks like a tackle the most out of any guy in this class, outside of maybe Isaiah World. Like Isaiah World is obviously like body type wise, and Blake Miller, but Prongos has an unbelievably well constructed frame. So and he's best frame to frame as well, and I do think again there are some outside shoulder woes on that Miami game. But again, that Miami game is probably his worst performance of the year because he's going against Ruben Bain, which is the games you want to watch for resume games, obviously. But I think PFF had him grading like in the 50s, and I was like, I don't think he was that bad. I didn't think he was that bad at all.
Like, I think he had like 2 losses to Bain, but they weren't like pressures; they were just wins. Kind of like
Bain club ripped him real good in the second half of that game, real fast on one of his reps.
Blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah, for sure. But he's another guy. I don't know if he's much of a if he's a road grader frame to frame in the run game, but he is another one of those guys, kind of like you were talking about with Blake Miller. Will he'll fire out and he'll punch you on down blocking opportunities. I also think that his pacing, both in his set and as he's climbing to the second level, is exceptional. I think the pacing that he plays with is exceptional, and I think when talking about offensive tackles, one thing I've tried to like course correct my eyes on is like, is this guy's foot speed slow, or is he just playing with excellent pacing based off of mirroring the guy across from him? Because I think sometimes I'm like, man, this guy's feet are heavy, but it's like, no, he's just pacing. And I
Right.
think I got into that a little bit with Prongos. It's like, no, he's just pacing really well.
Yeah, I see that.
So I think his foot speed is good too, man. So we had some conversation about arm length, and at first I thought he was fairly long. I went back and I watched, and the arms do. He was getting out levered a little bit in the Miami game, and so that makes me think like probably 33 and 3/4. It's probably somewhere around there is where I'd put his arm length.
I don't know what it is, but like, so I've become a decent estimate of arm length on like most players, but with these really tall tackles,
Mm-hmm.
I just have no ability to like visualize what the arm length is. Like it throws me off because like normally I can kind of look based on the knees or something. Like I don't know these like Caleb Tieran types. I mean, I wouldn't have mistaken Caleb Tieran, but there's a few of them where it's just like an optical illusion. But yeah, I had him estimated at 34.25.
Okay.
I
Which
thought
is what I
like,
texted you first. That's the number I first texted you.
oh really?
So yeah,
Um,
34.
yeah, to me, I thought the run game tape was, and I've only watched 2 games, so I don't even have a grade for him. But I thought the run game tape was pretty rough at certain points, and I don't know. Do you think like in this class, like I was listening to Stock Exchange, and they had the exact same reaction when they first watched Prongos, which is like before you even press play, it's like, oh, okay, this is a tackle finally.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I love the natural tools. I think he's probably a B minus athlete. Um, I don't know. I thought the run game. It's like he just there were plays where he didn't seem sure of his assignment. So I kind of like at least from the game I watched, I didn't really see the like combo blocks in the second level that you were talking about. But yeah, I'll continue to watch him. Definitely really intrigued by the pass pro tools.
Yeah. So to me, like there's always those players that are like, oh my God, this guy snuck into the first round somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I could see by the time we get to April being like Nikki Prongos went in the first round. Like it wouldn't shock me. To me, like now I currently see him as already in like that Anthony Belton, Ozzy Trapilo tier. Like those guys went
Mm-hmm.
just outside the top 50. Like I already been like, well, if Anthony Belton and Ozzy Trapilo in that range, then yeah, Nikki Prongo should go in that range too. That's how I already feel about him. Um, yeah, we'll see how the tape finishes up here. He's a redshirt junior, so he could always go back. I don't know if he would go back to Stanford, but that is always an option too there. Um, but I think there's some tools to really like here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna check out a few more games, grade them, but I'm thinking like I don't know, early third, late second, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So not far off there. From the Trapilo build range there.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all of the tackles that we have a comprehensive overview on. We're gonna talk about a couple more here just briefly. Who, oh boy, one has a year left of eligibility, and I think we've had the conversation that he should probably take it, and that's Auburn's Xavier Chaplin, who came in with summer grades as from NFL scouts as the best offensive tackle in his class. I never saw it over the summer, and it's been rough. It seems like it's stabilizing a little bit, but like still fairly rough for Xavier Chaplin. And so he's a redshirt junior. I think he's got to go back to school, man.
Would be another man. Auburn could just bleed some crazy transfers, but yeah, I have not watched him in the past like 3 to 4 weeks because there was one game at a certain point in the season where it was kind of just like the tipping point.
Oklahoma.
I was like, all right, yeah, you're going back to school. Yeah, Oklahoma. Yeah, our Mason Thomas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if he declares, I'll watch him, but I have a feeling we'll be talking about him in summer scouting next summer.
I kind of do too. The other one here, and this one might be a little bit actually of a longer conversation because he is still popping up in top 50 big boards in simulators and stuff like that as well. Iowa's Jennings Dunker, man. Like he's another guy that I'm trying to drink the salt water. I'm trying to cleanse the palate. I'm trying to go back and watch with fresh eyes. And it's like, there is nothing about this guy that screams anything other than a day 3 tackle to me.
What's his best pass pro rep?
It's probably a jump set
Yeah.
of some sort. Like if you want to talk about a strainer in a pass set trying to get depth, he strains maybe the hardest of any tackle I've watched in a little while trying to get depth in a set.
Mm-hmm.
Like the hands are rough. I don't think he's overly dominantly or like physically imposing.
The hands are bad in
They're
pass pro.
terrible. They're rough. Yeah,
Bad,
very rough.
awful.
Yeah. And so like we're gonna see this guy mocked first, second round. It probably all the way up until April. And I'm gonna keep pushing back on it every time I see it. He came into the season with like 4th round grades from scouts. I even think that's high. I even think that's a high grade for Jennings Dunker. I don't know, man. This is a player who's like I'm watching the tape. It's like what are we doing here?
Jumbo package 6th O line. You know, like the Bills, but they don't even need that anymore now. They have Jackson Hawes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for those who haven't watched Iowa offensive line, which is, I have to say, my favorite offensive unit to watch this year. Like you go left guard to right tackle, at least in the run game, it's everybody's mauling people. So it's fun to watch for sure. Basically what you get when you watch Jennings Dunker's tape is, it's Iowa. So run heavy, outside zone. Honestly, like half of the reps are just going to be outside zone. Let's say they drop back like 20, 25 times in a game. Like 10 of those are going to be rollouts. Another 5 are going to be screens and RPOs. When you really boil it down, you might get like 2 or 3 true, pass sets from Jennings Dunker in a game, and he's going to lose 1 or 2 of them in like pretty bad fashion. I don't like see it in pass pro at all. He's an awesome run blocker. All of the Iowa guys are for sure. So yeah. I don't know if they ever ban passing.
If they ever get a quarterback who can throw the football with, that'd be a start at Iowa.
No, I mean if the NFL ever bans passing.
Oh well, yeah, there you go.
Then
I think Iowa probably would love to ban passing, but yeah, you're right at the NFL level. If you want to watch an Iowa offensive lineman, please just watch the right guard. Watch the right guard. But
have you by the way, have you checked in on Logan Jones recently?
No, but I've heard he's playing pretty well. But again, like those wide zone centers, man, they scare the Jesus out of me.
Yeah, but to me, what's been impressive about him doing well is that like there's real high quality pass pro reps. The interior guys, they get true one-on-ones. Like you get to see them get some real reps. But yeah, to me Logan Jones was always pretty easy to just run through his chest in pass pro, but I think he's a lot sturdier this year. And he's kind of elevated from being like just a gimmick basically to actually like, okay, you could be a positive contributor in both phases.
Yeah. I think the last game I checked in on Logan Jones was Penn State. So, yeah. And which was impressive from both him and Cade Piper. But anything else in this tackle class you want to talk about here before we close this book up?
Do we want to go through our rankings?
Ooh. Yeah. So I have these guys written up and their traits kind of scored out. I could give you a ballpark on a grade here, or on a list. Not really a grade, but on a list. 1, I'm probably jumping Lomu up there. Again, I'm not going to list Moinoa or Proctor. If we're talking about just if let's do this. Let's list them as offensive linemen overall. So that way Moinoa and Proctor in the conversation. Okay, so 1 Moinoa, 2 Lomu, 3 Fano, 4 This is where I start to get interesting with like Miller or Prongos a little bit maybe. And that's an indication of how low we are in Proctor and World. Although, again, the World stuff, it's like I see a brute and I see a really good athlete. Can we figure out the rest? 4, I'll go World, then Prongos, then Miller, then Proctor, then Tieran, and then Chaplain Dunker, whatever you want to do with them. Yeah.
So I would go Mauanoa 1, Blake Miller 2, Lomu 3, probably go Fono 4, Kaden Proctor 5. Actually, I'd probably put Prongos over Proctor. Yeah. Prongos, then Proctor, then probably Tiernan. Then I would have Brian Parker out of Duke, who's probably going to be interior, potentially a center. Mm-hmm. But that'd be my list.
Love it.
It's rough. Like I hope y'all got your tackles last year, man.
I know. Last year was such a good class, and it's like I think that just makes everybody think that you can find a really good tackle every year, and it's just not like last year was the class to get one.
Last year the big debate was Armand Mimbu or Will Campbell, and then it turns out they're both awesome.
Yeah. So and this is the thing, like, so again, I'm pretty prevalent in Brown circles still, even though I'm just trying to get into full-time draft stuff and out of those circles, but like. Mason Graham, I've had this conversation on Twitter a million times. Mason Graham could be an all-pro, but from a process standpoint, they should have still taken Membo. Like, if we're talking process versus results here, there's such a supply and demand of 300-pound dudes who are athletic along an offensive line. Like, again, there aren't 64 good tackles in the NFL, and there needs to be at least 64 bare minimum. Like, each team needs 2 of them. So from a process standpoint, if there was a guy at value and Membu went 2 picks after Graham, you should have taken him, especially the Browns now, who are going to have to replace 5 offensive linemen in one offseason, more than likely. So,
I totally agree on that. When I'm the most like extremist positional value guy when it comes to valuing offensive tackles. Like,
every team is hurting outside of like the Packers, the Buccaneers, and even the Buccaneers are starting Charlie Heck right now. Like. Outside of the Packers and Eagles, like no team has offensive line depth.
Yeah.
There's 30 teams that need offensive. Take them if they're there. You got to take them.
It's why it's to me, it was never about, and I mean, I don't want to get into this conversation. It was never about like running backs not mattering. It's like, do you realize how much tackles freaking matter? That was always my position.
Yep. So again, last year was the year to do that. This year, unless you can get Mo, and you have a really good plan for him, and maybe like Lomu Fano can work out still, but like not a blue chipper in this class coming out of a year with 2 guys who went top 10. So, but that's going to do it for this episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. James and I are going to change up our Friday episode a little bit. So instead of just going through the slate, we're going to bring you some bold predictions for the weekend as well. So, and we're going to trial run maybe a scoring system and maybe a little competition about bold takes and whose bold takes hold up throughout the year as well. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Until tomorrow. See ya.